to another episode of Coded Conversations. This is Kevin.
And this is TC. How's it
Hey, what's
going?
been going on, man?
It's going, man. It's going. I'm coming
Yeah,
down from like a stressful week. Took some time off for the weekend. Got a little bit of coding done. But yeah, man, just coming out from like a not a crunch week, but just it felt like I had just a lot of things going on at once, and I just
yeah,
couldn't like I didn't have that time to just like decompress.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah. Um I just like to like chill. My boss also asked me like, "What did you do this weekend?" And I just keep it simple, like, "Oh, yeah, I'll stay at home or whatever, or uh, just chill." You know, it's
yeah. Pretty much same here, man. Just been doing a ton of work. Just feel like nonstop work. So I'm trying to,
yeah,
you know, get back to feeling where I'm like relaxed again.
yeah, for sure.
It'll pay off though. I got a interview on Thursday, so we'll see how that goes. It's like
Is
the
this
third
the first
round.
round or third round? Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
How
So
do you feel about the well? How was the first two rounds like?
no,
Where they
man,
ask you?
it's just like super simple, man. They pretty much act. They didn't really ask me much. It's almost like they were pitching the company to me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess like with if like senior and leads, like if they look at your resume, they're not gonna really sit around and make you go through 20 rounds of interviews. They like, okay, this guy
Yeah.
knows what he's doing. Let's hurry up and get him before somebody else
Right.
does.
Yeah. And I see it like this, like nobody wants to waste their time like
Yeah.
asking the wrong people, right? So you kind of just want to feel each other out and get the idea, like, all right, does this person know? Like, what do they know? They look good.
Mhm.
They have a track record, clearly. Like, okay, but what would make you jump ship, or what are you looking for in your next role? So,
Right.
um, yeah, I think like
Yeah.
once you get that experience, it's
Yeah.
less about like what you know and like what'll get you to convert over.
Yeah. Yeah. They gave me the take home test too. 'Cause I guess, just to verify that I actually have the skills I say. But once you
Yeah.
prove that, it's kind of like, okay, let's see if he's a culture fit. That's what it seems
Mm-hmm.
like.
Yeah.
And how would you answer that question? Like, why are you looking for a next role?
Um, it would be like I would have to say, uh, to get more experience working in like TypeScript and React and stuff, because
Hmm.
like getting into the flow of like CI/CD, like continuous integration, continuous development, like and like actually using like React and stuff, like and you get I'm getting to know more about my code in a in a more in a different setting, I guess you could say. I don't know how I don't know how to explain it. Like there's almost like a uh like we do code reviews and stuff like where I'm at now.
Yeah.
Uh and it benefit there's benefit to it, but then it's almost like when you you have somebody else look at your code versus like the same the same level of people or the same people over and over again.
So for
When you
you,
have
it's
different
kind of
eyes that like they pick it apart differently. People nitpick about different things differently, I guess is the best way to put it.
it's
um
kind of like getting more experience in a different environment. Like you don't want to be stuck doing the same thing with the same people.
yeah, I wouldn't say stuck. It's just when you get exposed, I'm getting exposure. I'm getting
Yeah.
exposure to like how to do things in React, how to work with promises, and
Right.
uh, how to get data from a database using GraphQL and using the repository pattern. I don't know if you've used that before, but like I'm trying to wrap my head around that, and I'm finding like things are starting to click, and it's like whoa, like this is completely different, like than what I'm used to. So um, I would say like it's just exposing myself to that next mountain to climb or that next level of experience.
Right.
would be like the thing to make me just sort of switch over.
Yeah. Like for
Yeah.
me, it's pretty much like, once you've been at a company for like a couple of years,
Yeah.
you pretty much got the pattern down, and you end up doing almost like the same thing over and over and over. And
Right.
as a programmer, if I guess like if you're a good programmer, you want to advance your skill set. You don't want to just be
E-
complacent, like
right.
doing the same thing. So
I, I would also
it's
yeah, go ahead.
for me, I need like every company I work at, I learn something different. So sometimes I just need to switch just to keep on expanding, my horizons.
Right. But if you're comfortable where you're at, let's say you're 4 years, 5 years into a company, right? You could,
Mhm.
if you're comfortable where you're at, I don't see the need to jump.
Yeah,
Like
there's no,
like some people will say like, oh, jump every 1 or 2 years. You can be making more money. You can be making more money, but like it's not always about the money.
yeah,
Like
it's not
yeah,
really a formula. It's just like how you feel, really. Like, are you at the point to where like, okay, I'm kind of bored here.
right,
There's no progress.
right, right. Yeah,
But
everybody's
are
different.
you? Have you been at to the point where you're kind of like, okay, I'm cool with just being here. I'm gonna turn down 30, 40, $50,000.
Um, I would say like where I'm at right now, it's it's cool
Yeah.
and like I'm comfortable where I'm at.
Hmm.
Um, and I would say that if I feel like the contract work that I'm doing now is sort of satisfying that itch that I had
To do like
to
new stuff.
to 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 do something like in React and work with TypeScript and be
Hmm.
around like and use like data structures and use Git and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so that's sort of where I'm coming from. It's like like if you're comfortable where you're at and it works for you and
Yeah.
there's no waking up at 4 a.m. There's none of that crazy
Hmm.
Fang type of stress. I would say
Right.
just chill because like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, everybody's experience is unique, right? Everybody's not gonna be going to Fang and working at Meta and building the next big social media network or whatever, right? Like there's a bunch of other companies out there like IMDb. I mean, that's Amazon, but like IBM and Sony and all these other smaller companies that exist, and like they need developers too. I think a lot of people when they think of software engineering, they think of like shooting for the stars, but sometimes you just gotta look at the level that you're at and be like, hey, what's the market cap that I can get to that's comfortable enough for me that I can be cool with.
Yeah. You pretty much everybody got a different, level to where like, okay, I'm cool. I don't really need to jump.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
for Brian, like he's pretty cool with where he's at because he has a lot of free time to do other stuff on the side. So like,
yeah,
he started running like his little trucking business.
yeah,
If he had he could accept like maybe 30, 40, 50,000 more dollars, but
mm,
that's gonna prevent him from doing what he wants. It's gonna cut into his free
exactly,
time. So it's like,
exactly.
is it worth the jump?
Yeah, it's
I
not
think
exactly.
for me, I'm already like working a ton. Like I'm the only front end developer on this project.
Yeah,
So, it's just like work, 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 work. So if I'm gonna be working nonstop, I might as well go get the extra money. You know what I mean? So in
yeah,
my case, it makes sense to sit or jump in.
right. How do you feel about
Yeah.
bringing other people on? Let's say
But
let's
like,
say you were to bring on another front end engineer to help out.
mhm.
Like, do you see them as
uh,
competition, or do you see
no,
them as like no?
no, man,
Mhm.
because you know, like I would be the one that would be teaching them the project. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah,
kind of feel like my skill level is sufficient and my visibility is sufficient to where if they're like, oh, okay, this guy, we're gonna replace him, it ain't gonna be like too big of a deal for me to just find something else,
Right.
Like I think one of the big factors that a lot of people overlook is that the ability to teach and get other developers up to par. That's a skill in and of itself. That's like a leadership skill.
Communication.
So, exactly. So I don't want to
Communication
be
is
like one of those hater type of leaders that's like, well, I'm not going to tell you how to do anything. Figure it out
right.
because
Yeah.
you might replace me. But yeah, let's kind of jump into the subject of Meta being sued by Texas, man. That's it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, man. So what's going on down in Texas?
So what they said, they're suing Meta because like they've been collecting data without users' consent, like facial recognition data. So I'm guessing you remember how like before you had the little photos and then it would just automatically tag people.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing they were still doing that, still collecting that data.
Well, they have to. That's their whole business. Right?
Yeah,
like,
I guess they were doing it without people's consent though. So
but that's I see it like this. As soon as you sign up for a website, you're giving that consent. Anything that you do on that website is tracked.
Yeah.
Like that's what I believe. Like any photos you upload, even if you delete them, they're still there. The everything you type, everything you search for, everything from the day that you sign up for something, if it's free, you are the product. The information that you put in, yeah.
I remember like if you have Facebook open in one tab, it would kind of track what you're doing in other tabs, like sites you're visiting and stuff. So
I didn't know that.
I think I remember hearing something about that. But yeah, you remember this kind of ties into the conversation we were having about Meta. Like Meta is Facebook on steroids. It's like collecting data in 3D, like what you're looking at, how you react to this.
It's just more data to sell. More data.
I think people are kind of losing faith in like Meta and Facebook. Like they're kind of it's kind of looked at as an old person social network, and they look at it with distrust. Like didn't this stock just take a massive tumble recently?
That's because why did that happen though? They took a tumble because I think it's because of Meta. I think Meta just isn't jumping off as well as they thought it was. That they wanted it to. And because look at it like this, like back in the day, right? This is way back when I had a Samsung Galaxy S3 and Facebook was just an app, right?
Yeah.
It's not hard to download an app and install it and sign up and boom, have a Facebook account. Now if they're trying to switch over to this whole VR thing, how expensive is it to go out and buy a VR helmet? Right. And then like buy a VR helmet, sign up to Meta or whatever, and then sit there in the Meta universe with this thing on you.
Yeah.
Right. It's just that barrier to entry is
too high.
It's too high. It's too high.
I think a lot of people are just distrustful of it too. Like they don't want to, they kind of like looking at their phone like this, but they don't want to be transported into another world where they can't look around them.
Right. Yeah. Somebody comes to the room and they tap you on the shoulder. It's not like you could you can just take it off, but you don't know if somebody comes up the stairs right now, I can see him. But if if I got this thing on my face, I can't see nobody.
Exactly. Yeah. So, like if you got kids and stuff, you don't want to be like completely like immersed in some other world and your kids are just doing whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't see that happening, but yeah, I if it was to happen, I could definitely see that being a problem.
What about Meta without 3D, without the headset? Like that doesn't even really seem to be taking off. Like, you have your phone, you log into a little 3D world. Like, why do you think that's not popping off?
I didn't even know that was a thing. What is it like? FaceTime on steroids?
They have like different metaverses, whatever. Like I think like one called like VR chat, and I don't think you need a headset for that. I guess it's just people don't know about it. These companies are pushing Meta, but it's like the marketing is kind of bad. Like people don't really know how to just get to the metaverse. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I don't. Yeah, because when I think meta, I think of the whole VR experience. I didn't know that
Right.
there was like a meta for just your phone. Um, yeah, man, I just can't. I'm not with it. I feel
Yeah.
like
What
social
is your
media has gotten. Hmm?
yeah? What is your like reservations about Meta? Like, why are you kind of hesitant on it?
Uh, I've just over time I've learned like I have a very addictive personality, and so like
Yeah.
when I'm interested in something, I'll dive in it, and it's the only thing I'll think about and talk about with anybody, and just I'll be obsessed with it for a good week, 2, maybe 3 weeks. Like when I first got God of War on PC, like that was the only game I
Mhm.
played for like 2 to 3 weeks, and like I beat it. I'm like, okay, cool, I'm done. And
Yeah.
like when it comes to like social media, I find myself constantly coming back to the application. It's almost uh like even if let's say I go to say I go visit a website, and okay, I visited it 5 minutes later, I close it, I come back five
Mhm.
minutes later to that same website, and it's like I'm looking for something new, and I would do the same thing with Facebook, and so it's almost like an addiction to constantly coming back to the site, looking for
Yeah.
messages, looking for
Yeah.
something new on my feed, and I just had to cut it out of my life. And so
Yeah.
um and I
It
feel like a
kind of.
lot of people growing up these days, especially like TikTok and Instagram and stuff, those apps are like built for you to just constantly like come back over and
Yeah.
over and over and over again.
For me, Meta kind of combines the addictive nature of gaming and social
Yeah.
media. So it's going to be like a double dose. Like people are already addicted to both. So,
Yeah.
imagine
And
when they're immersed in this virtual world. Like, another big thing is, like how much money will people invest in souping up their virtual character? Like, what was that? There's a game like Genshin Impact or
oh,
something.
Genshin Impact. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
some guy, his 18-year-old daughter, like put like tens of thousands of dollars worth of purchases on his credit card, buying
Dang.
stuff for that. So imagine the metaverse where
That's
okay,
crazy.
you get to soup up your virtual avatar. Like people are gonna probably like invest more in that than real life.
That's ridiculous. It's too much, man. It's too
Yeah.
much. There's no you can't touch it. You can't touch it. It's
Mhm.
not tangible. And it's almost like DLC, right? Like for a game, like after, like I look at it like this: there's so much DLC I bought in the past for games that I no longer play, right? Even though I still
Yeah.
have it, I no longer play it. So it's like, man, I dropped $120 on map pack for Call of Duty Modern
Mhm.
Warfare 3 back in the day, but I can't play it anymore. Or
Yeah.
I can. I just don't have the Xbox to play it, right? So it's
Yeah.
like, what if I buy this NFT or I buy this content for the metaverse or whatever, and then the metaverse gets shut down? Then what?
Yeah.
All the money
All
that
this
I've
stuff
dumped into this
disappears.
thing is gone.
Right. Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
it's really healthy just being like so immersed into this like digital world. Like these companies are pushing for greater immersion too. Like they want the meetings, like company meetings conducted there. Like people are eventually going to
Yeah.
lose sight. They're going to detach their, themselves from their physical body and almost like
Right.
think the metaverse is them. Like
Yeah.
let me work in real life so I can soup up my metaverse character. It pretty much happens with a lot of these video games. Think of like like Diablo and all of that. People are going on the auctions and spending all this money.
Yeah. I just it's not healthy. It's not the metaverse isn't if it heads into that dystopian direction that you're talking about, it's not healthy. I can't see it
Yeah.
being a healthy thing. Um, yeah, it's just the
So like if you could redirect social media, like where would it go? Like we pretty much got like the message board type of social media, the picture gallery. movie shorts. Where can they go next? I don't know. It's hard to think with what they can do.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah. You,
it's
you,
almost like the
you.
metaverse is like to the only
The
real
next frontier.
yeah the next yeah. It's almost
um,
like we got to back away from technology. You know.
yeah, man. Look at it like this, man. There's a whole world out there.
Yeah.
There's a whole world that's just completely detached from technology, and there's so much that you can do away from the keyboard and mouse, and you're not going to get that same experience by watching somebody else on YouTube or listen to a podcast or or going on social media, right? If you have the opportunity to do it, I would say go out and see the world. Like when I took that trip to Honduras, man,
Yeah.
like I had no cell phone reception, and so I was
Kind of
just
force you
forced.
to. Yeah.
Huh? I was forced to be out in the world, and it wasn't bad. It's actually really
Yeah.
nice, and I talked with people, and I just experienced life. It was almost like experiencing life before the internet. Like, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, like I would get on every once in a while, but it wasn't. It's almost like as soon as my brain knew I have no internet, I have no cell
Yeah.
phone reception.
A
I
lot of people
all
got kind of like computer slave syndrome to where they just feel like, especially in our industry, like if they're not around a computer, they're missing out. Like, oh, I need to be
yeah,
studying. I need to,
yeah,
I need to check my notifications and
yeah. It's okay to take a break, man. It's okay to have hobbies that aren't related to the computer.
like, do
It's
you
like
think you would feel anxiety if, say, you lost your phone for 3 days? Like, oh, I'm missing
uh,
out on something important.
you know what? I don't think so. And I've also thought about like switching my phone to like an old school flip phone.
Yeah.
I've thought about it. I don't think it'll work out, but I've thought about it. Because I still do like video calls and stuff, but
Right.
uh, I have thought about what it would be like to be like a digital minimalist, and I think it's actually a pretty good idea to like just detox yourself from those addictive apps and like tendencies that a lot of people in our industry and people growing up in this generation probably have.
Yeah.
Um, because again, man, there's a whole world out there, man. Like I went on a hike last weekend, and I was talking to my friend. I was like, man, I used to read so much growing up, like a ton. Like I used to just have books and just read and read and read and read and read. Like that was
Yeah.
my passion. And then as like when I got a smartphone and as the internet started to become more and more social, right? Like I first discovered like message boards. I joined message boards, and that was my thing. And then I went from message boards to MySpace, MySpace to Facebook, Facebook to YouTube, YouTube to Instagram, and then here I am. It's like,
Yeah.
man, you just trade one thing for the other, right? And then I realized I don't read anymore. I don't
Yeah.
read for pleasure anymore. Like if I read, it's got to be like documentation for a coding language or
Mm.
algorithms and data structures books or whatever. Like reading for pleasure is just not
Yeah.
there.
I guess because you replace your pleasure with, the other avenues, and
Yeah.
at least that form of pleasure, it forced you to focus. Now everything's
Mhm.
just like short, 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 short. Like if you don't catch
Yep.
people's attention in 10 seconds, they just scroll right past,
They'll
ignore
bounce.
you, whatever you just did. Yeah.
Yep. They'll bounce. They'll
So
bounce.
it's
Yeah,
almost like we're a
man.
society where you got to be an attention whore all the time if you want to, you know, just rise up. You know what I mean? Like, hey, look
Yeah.
at me. You got to have that ability to stream out at people. Like, like they say, like with YouTube, the thumbnails and the title, that's what'll make somebody click your video.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about catching somebody's attention and then having being able to hold that attention during the minute or whatever long video that you have, right? It's like
Yeah.
catching their attention, getting their attention, and then also like being able to relate. I think people are looking for people that are relatable. Like, yeah, it's
Yeah,
cool to like be flashy and stuff, but like,
yeah.
uh,
People don't really like those overly produced videos. I noticed that. Like you might think you would naturally think like, oh, the more effort I put into this, the more they would
right,
like it. But really, it's like it feels like TV. It feels scripted.
yeah.
It's
You
like more.
you remember Vine?
Yeah, yeah, Vine. Yep.
Yeah, you know how like it failed because like you couldn't use ads on Vine, right? Like, or
Mm.
they didn't really have like a way to monetize it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
how do you feel about like being able to monetize these short form videos,
I
right?
mean,
But
it
then
makes sense.
also give that monetization to like the creator.
That to me, that makes sense. Like if you want creators to create stuff for your platform, you're gonna have to monetize because it's our everybody else is already doing it. I
Yeah,
kind of feel like it's gonna shift the organic nature of a lot of the content to more professional looking stuff. But you
right.
know, from a company perspective, who wants users to come to their platform, they're gonna have to start paying people. Like, because okay, if you have say you have like 2 hours a day to make videos, are you gonna
Mhm.
focus on like YouTube, which pays, or this other platform which doesn't pay? You know what I
I
mean?
focus on what pays. If that's my bread
Exactly.
and butter, I would focus on what pays.
So isn't
Yeah.
Snapchat, aren't they about to start monetizing?
Yeah, and just thinking about it now, like I wonder how Snapchat.
Yeah, I
Well,
don't see how that'll work. 'Cause
I
those are
can.
time sensitive videos, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, I can't see how that
Like,
works either. Let me
how
actually
long
pull
do
up the
those videos
article.
last? Like,
That's a good
I'm not
question.
like a huge Snapchat user. Like,
I'm not
don't.
either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta ask my
Uh-huh.
sister. But let me just skim through the article real quick. So it says Snapchat is introducing a new way for creators to earn money. The app is testing mid-roll ads that appear in stories of small groups of US creators with a wider rollout. Oh, so they just embed it into your stories.
Hmm.
So just like
Okay.
how like Instagram has stories, right? Right? Imagine
Yep.
like, oh yeah, Instagram is already doing this.
Okay.
But they don't. I don't think they do it with video advertisements. I'm not sure, but I know like in stories as you swipe, sometimes I'll get an ad, almost like Reddit, right? I don't know if you use Reddit
Yeah,
either,
yeah.
but on Reddit, on the app at least, as you scroll, sometimes you'll get Reddit posts, right? Or you'll get promotions or ads that look like Reddit posts,
Yeah.
and so it seems like Snapchat is just taking that same idea. It says the company says the revenue shared is based on the formula that takes into the account's metrics like posting frequency and engagement. The feature is
Hmm.
only available to Snap stars who are creators or public figures with large followings that have been verified on Snapchat, indicated by a golden star. So it's only
Yeah, I didn't even
verified
know
users.
yeah, I didn't even know there was like a huge Snapchat creation community. I thought it was more like you want to post something and have it disappear a little while later. Like, I didn't know there was like
Yeah.
content creators for Snapchat, but I guess so.
Oh, okay. It says Snapchat users already see ads in between friend stories and on the discover section. But this is the first time creators will get a cut of the ad revenue on stories. So they already do this. They already do this. They already have ads. This is
Okay.
the first time that like creators are going to get a piece of the monetization. So
I think they're trying to
probably
fight against Twitter and Instagram and
yep, yep,
TikTok. They're probably
yep,
losing a lot of people.
yep, yep. Exactly, and that's exactly what the last paragraph says. In an effort to entice, it says this comes shortly after Snapchat signaled that users were moving toward
Yeah.
TikTok-esque content on over stories. Snap
Hmm.
CEO Evan Spiegel told investors earlier that month that users are spending less time posting and viewing stories instead of watching content on Spotlight, Snapchat's TikTok equivalent. In an effort
Yeah.
to entice users to create more vertical video content, the company announced it will pay $1 million per day through the end of 2020. Now Snapchat says it pays millions of dollars a month to creators making top spotlight videos. Last year, Snapchat announced spotlight challenges, cash prizes for users creating top videos using specific lenses, sounds, or topics. Oh, that's interesting. The company says that it's paid out more than 250 million to creators. So in order to get people to use the app, they're having they're having people create what's the word I'm looking for? Like exclusive content on their application,
I
right?
think now is perfect. Yeah, go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
No, as y'all said, now is a perfect time to be a creator because I feel like they're about to get into a bidding war. Like if Snapchat enters the fray, TikTok say, okay, now we're gonna pay you more. Post your content over here.
Yep.
YouTube, they're seeing their traffic going to TikTok. So I think YouTube is gonna have to change their algorithm because people are leaving.
YouTube has YouTube Shorts now.
Yep.
Have you seen that?
Like YouTube.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. With YouTube, you don't see fresh content though. That's the problem. You only see the big. So they're gonna have to readjust the algorithm to show the smaller guys. You know what I mean?
Yep. And sometimes I even see TikTok videos on YouTube stories or whatever. So like,
exactly.
Eventually, it's gonna get to a point where it's all just recycled content, right? There's only so many content creators out there, and I would think that like it's difficult for people starting now to actually know where to start, right? There's so many avenues, and you don't know which one's gonna take off. So you're just like, man, what do I do? Where do I start?
Yeah, so you pick one and roll with whatever one you have traction on. Like for me, it was like TikTok and LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're on YouTube, but like we get like 5 views a video. It's like the algorithm. We haven't broken the algorithm to where they're showing our stuff.
Yeah.
I think I seen a video one time on like one of my feeds, like my subscription feed or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that was just like one time.
Yeah, it'll pop off. It's got to that. You got to go through the motions first.
Yeah. Yep. I think it's good for like established creators because it creates a gate there to where like we're promoting y'all, but these other guys, they're hidden. We're on the other side of the gate, like we're not being showcased. So it kind of eliminates the competition for the big boys, I guess.
Yeah, I can see that. Man, it's getting crazy, man. It's like everybody's fighting for attention.
Man, you almost have to do something like this now because everything's so expensive, man. The price of houses is shooting through the roof. Like you have to do something that $1 million over here. Yeah, man. Like so, if you want to just retire anytime soon, like you have to have like millions of dollars, and you're not going to get it working at your job. You're just not. Yeah. Now, do you almost feel like programming in some aspects, like the lower levels, is almost like the new blue collar work, like kind of like the equivalent of like going to a factory or being a mechanic used to be? Like you could make a decent, comfortable living, but you're not really getting ahead.
That hasn't hit me yet. I don't see it like that. I still, maybe I'm just living in the past, but I still feel like coding and programming is that new hot market. It hasn't become so much like everybody's a programmer, right? Like it's not like everybody can just walk, like anybody can just walk into a factory and start pulling levers and cutting metal, right? Or maybe not anybody, but you can definitely, I think, how do I say it? In my experience, working in a factory, it was like, oh, you never used this device before? Let me show you how to do it. Take this metal, take this lever, pull the lever, and then put your completed piece over here. All right, grab a sheet and just start working. Boom. There's no barrier to entry. And when it comes to coding, I feel like that's sort of where coding boot camps are. Like now you have two camps. The person that has studied this right for 4 years, gone to a computer science degree, university, got the degree,
Mm,
entered the field, and you have the uh, the guy who's gone out on YouTube, picked up some tutorials, made a to-do app, and is uh, trying to take your job. So I think
yeah,
there's those two camps, and then there's the self-taught person, right, somewhere in between.
yeah. So man,
Um,
have you like ever come across somebody when you tell them like, "Oh, hey, I'm a software engineer," they're like, "Oh, wow, that's cool," or is it like, "Oh, okay, that's cool, whatever." For me, it's
uh,
more the latter. It's not like like you're a doctor or a lawyer, prestige. It's like, "Oh, cool, you're a lawyer. Wow, you're a doctor." It's more like, "Oh, that's cool."
I think again, like early on, it was like, "Oh, you're a software engineer. Oh, that's cool." Or you're a web developer. Oh, that's cool. Can you make me a website? It was always like,
Yeah, yeah.
it
Like,
was
can you
always like,
do
"Can
something
you
for
do something
free?
for me?" Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm like, "No,
Yeah,
man, I can't do that for free."
right.
Um, uh, and it like looking back, it's like you kind of have to, how do I say it? Um, separate yourself from like the idea. This might not have been what you were saying, but something that came to mind is like just separate yourself from the idea of like what other people perceive. Because before I was like, oh, I used to think, oh, I'm a software engineer and I'm this and I'm so
Yeah,
big and bad. But now it's like that's just what I do,
right.
and it's just a means to an end, right?
Yeah.
It's not like a title that I wear on my chest anymore. Um,
Mm,
and I feel like once you, I feel like that the euphoria that you get when first getting a job, right, first breaking in and first getting that first developer position, it wears off after a while. I think that's
yeah.
sort of where my mind is going with this topic is like there's that initial euphoria and people would be excited and that would sort of gas me up even more, and then now it's like, yeah, I'll wake
Yeah.
up, I'll go
Same
on my
thing with
run, do what I do.
kind of like same thing with getting a pay raise too, man. Like at first it's like, oh man, when you go from 60 to like 80K, it's like, man, it's amazing. I got a lot more freedom, but
Yeah,
past like 85, 90K, it's like, whatever. Like,
yeah,
you
yeah,
can already get a version of what you want like at 80K. So
right,
it's like you
yeah,
gotta redefine what you have to define, like what keeps you going after, it can't just be money.
yeah. Like for me, it's getting a home. Like
Yeah.
this year, I want this year to be the last year that I live where I'm at, and so I've started
Mm,
to save. So me and my girl are like crunching numbers and trying to figure out stuff. I'm even like looking into like FHA loans and duplexes and all that stuff.
yeah.
Um, there's like talk of possibly like building on a unit to like my mom's place or whatever and like living
Yeah.
there. Um, but like you got to find that thing that like keeps the fire going, man. Like because
Yes.
it's so easy to get caught up in that same uh, rut day in and day out, and
Mm,
that that I know this conversation has kind of gone to like to the left field or whatever, but man, like it's so easy to just get caught up in the this is my job and this is what I do and it is what it is,
yeah.
and you gotta find that spice of life that just makes things interesting,
Yeah.
and just sort of throws that curveball. Yeah,
And I heard a real estate crash that might possibly be coming, so it might be a good
I
time
keep
for you
hearing that.
to.
Everybody keeps saying that. I've heard that so
Yeah.
much, man.
And I don't, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you're making six figures, it's like, how do you comfortably afford a home? Like, you might probably have to move out of state or something. You know what I mean? Possibly, or like go
Yeah,
to someplace in California that's like remote.
yeah. So like right now, the idea is get a duplex or whatever,
Yeah.
um, and possibly even like rent it out and live somewhere else, or live there for a minute, save up, and then I don't know.
What prices have you
Uh,
been seeing on duplexes out there?
it varies by city, but like over by the stadium, they they're around 750 ish
That's not
to
bad
900K.
for both sides or
Um,
just one side.
the whole thing.
Oh, okay, that's
Yeah,
pretty good.
yeah. Um,
I
and
mean,
then
it's
like
sad that we're to the point where like 700K is considered cheap, but you know that's just
yeah,
this market.
yeah. Like was it? I had a coworker who recently just got his own place, and he was like, "Man, I'm waiting for." With it, I remember they were having a discussion. It's like they're waiting for a crash, waiting for a crash, waiting for a crash, but
Yeah,
it just
it might
it
never
never
come.
came. It never came.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Austin prices is pretty much like California now,
Mm.
like 700K and up for you know what I mean. Anything like decent. So I don't know,
Yeah.
man. Like,
It may never happen, but
you're right.
I would
That's why I'm
say
trying to
just
scale my income, man. You just
yeah,
gotta jump in and scale your income. I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of crazy, man. If you get $1 million house, you got to make like 150, 170, 200,000 like for the next 30, 40 years. That's a lot of pressure, man.
I can see where you're coming from. It's like now you signed this agreement. You've said, hey, I'm gonna live here for the next 30 years or 50 years or whatever, and pay off. But man, now it becomes a matter of trying to pay it off before then, huh? Right?
Yeah,
Like, I
like
mean, you don't want to take all 30 years to pay it off.
nah, because you probably pay like 2 or 3 million by the time you buy $1 million house just on that interest. So yeah, it's kind of like you got to do something other than work a job, man. Like
Yeah,
scale
yeah, you
your
got me
income.
thinking. You got me thinking now. It's like, oh wow,
It's
that's a
kind of
big
like what
commitment.
Brian's into trucking. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of like why I'm looking into like to me it's not all about the money, but we have to at least find a way to monetize this because
Something.
man, yeah,
Yeah.
because I don't really see how everybody has like enough money to afford a $700,000 home. When my dad purchased his home, he bought it for like 70K, and if I buy a house, I got to pay 10 times as much. Like that's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah. So my mom bought her home for 560K, and now I think she said now it's worth like
A million.
990, 900 something. Yeah, that was I'm 32 now. It's about 14 years.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
crazy, man.
yeah,
What kind of job was she working to be able to afford like
it was real estate.
oh okay.
Yeah, yeah. And so, uh, she's going through some house stuff right now. But the idea right now is to work with her, uh, and see if we can make some moves as far as like adding on to the house and
Yeah.
building out a couple of units. Um,
Man, you know it's interesting. A lot of it's like we're almost going to what people overseas do. Like they don't usually get their own house; they just build on to their family's house.
mm, yeah,
It's like America's kind of shifting to that model because I guess everything is getting so expensive. Like most people can't just have their own house. You got to be wealthy
yeah.
for that,
Why not just build it yourself?
right?
Yeah. Is that cheaper alternative? Does that make
Well, I think
I guess
they just get
hmm?
like a room extended to their parents' house. Is
Hmm.
that like what you were talking about? Or?
No, I think what the idea now is less of a room, but more so just like we have a backyard area, right? It's not like a maybe. I don't know how big the yard is, but the idea was that you'd build a almost like a duplex, like one standing on top of the other, almost like 2 stories or whatever. And then one unit would be the lower level, and then one unit would be the upper level. And yeah, that would be the idea. It would be sort of. She says it would be behind our garage. So I've seen it online, but it's hard to explain. But it doesn't look bad from what I've seen. It doesn't look bad.
Do you think you would be able to do, say, like an RV? They got some nice ones now.
I don't think I could. I don't think I could live that RV lifestyle. That's so weird for me. I couldn't.
Yeah. It's something like when you're in your 20s and you just want to be free.
Yeah.
I actually seen like a YouTube video of this girl that she has her van and she just lives out her van. You know what I mean? But I think like she takes a shower, like get a gym membership and take a shower in there or something. It's kind of crazy, but to me it sounds dangerous, especially if you're a female.
Yeah, no, I couldn't do it. I'm so spoiled by LA. Yeah. I'm so spoiled by like sleeping in a bed and having a roof over my head. And don't get me wrong, like you could do that for like maybe like for a trip. I could see doing that for a trip, right?
Yeah.
But not living out of a van. No.
Yeah. I think people in the Bay Area do that. Like they get the Bay Area salary, live in a van for a while, and then go somewhere else and buy a house.
Yeah, that's a little intense.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy, but I guess it works if you're saving like $50,000 a year on rent. 2 years, that's $100K.
It's almost like those people that what are they called? Extreme cheapskates.
Oh,
have you ever seen that? Yeah. Where they save money on like.
You seen the one where the woman cooked the lasagna in the dishwasher?
Yes. Yeah, I saw her. Yeah, and she turned off the TV during
Super Bowl
commercials. Yeah.
Oh
yeah. And she would what else? She would turn off. She would like turn off the lights, and it just got.
Yeah, candles lit.
Yeah. Yeah.
She went to the butcher and just got like beef fat to cook for them. Like that's crazy.
That's nasty. Man. There's no point. After a certain point, like you're just not comfortable. Like I can't see it being comfortable to like to do that, to live like that. It just doesn't make sense. Like I get it if you're poor and like if you've got let me rephrase myself, like because poor, I think the word poor can mean different things for like me and you. It's subjective.
Yeah.
But if you're forced to live like that, okay, it makes sense.
To intentionally live like that.
But if you intentionally live like that, like if you have an oven to make lasagna, use the oven.
Yeah.
Right? If you have water to cook with, use water and don't reuse it. That's so nasty. And like if you have lights, use them. Yeah. Right? Because like when I was growing up, like there were days where I would come home and I flipped the light switch on, no lights.
Right.
And back then, I didn't know, right? It's like, oh, okay. My mom was like, oh, they turned the lights off. Okay, we'll wait. We'll wait for them to turn it back on.
Yeah.
And but she just lit candles, and that's what we used to see at night, right? To go to the bathroom, walk in the hallway, go to the bathroom, whatever. And that's what we did. And thinking back now, I didn't think anything of it. Like I didn't think, oh man, we're poor, we're broke, or whatever. It was just okay. They turned the lights off. The sun will be out tomorrow.
A lot of people don't realize they're poor until they get older. He's like,
Yep.
oh wow, like that means mom didn't have money for the
Yep.
lights. Like
Yep.
we were barely making it.
Yep. Same thing with the water. Water got cut off. We would we would take those water jugs, those arrow. I don't know if you have like when people would deliver water or whatever, like the water jug and the water
Yeah,
cooler. We would take that and we fill it with tap water, and we would take a bowl, right, and we'd take this giant. We would take the blue water bottle or whatever. We'd pour enough water into like a cereal bowl, and we mix soap, right? The bar of soap and a wash
yeah,
rag, and we'd take shower. We'd wash ourselves in the sink,
yeah. It's crazy.
and you know, like people they think like, oh, you know, I'm gonna save money. I'm gonna be like an extreme cheapskate. It's like, bro,
No,
like it's like people that glamorize like hustling or
we're
living
super
in that
frugal.
hood lifestyle. It's like don't like
Man,
be comfortable, but don't
yeah,
do it to an
don't go crazy.
extremity where you're just not enjoying life.
Yeah, man. Like in the long run, you're probably costing yourself more money because of all the health problems and all of that
Yeah,
stuff that you're getting. Like
yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
drive yourself crazy doing that kind of stuff, man. Like
yeah,
enjoy. When you think about it, man, money doesn't even really exist. It's just like as they move towards digital money, no,
yeah.
money is a number in a computer. So really, you're spending your whole life trying to make a number in a computer grow up. It's almost like
Mm-hmm.
video game now. You know what I
Yep,
mean? Like
yep. The
let me
gamified it.
grind up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like enjoy your. If you don't enjoy that your money, somebody else will. Like whether it's the government once they take it when you pass, or your kids might
Yep.
end up blowing it on something. Like
Mm-hmm.
who knows? Like leave them something, but don't go crazy trying to like save every cent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
It's like all about that balance.
yeah.
But yeah,
Like
man,
I
I think
had
we had a good weekend for you. Oh, go ahead.
no, no. I was just gonna say like I had an aunt tell me once like, you know, you're not enjoying life, and
Yeah,
like ever since that point it was like, you know what, like let me just, yeah, I don't gotta go crazy, but let me just
yeah,
start
yeah,
doing a little bit here and there to like actually enjoy
yeah.
my
I'm the
life.
same way. Like I'm like, man, why am I torturing myself? Like, why am I trying to eat this cheap food? And because
Mm-hmm.
I usually rebound once I start trying to be cheap. I'm like, man, nah, I'm sick of this. Let's go get whatever I want.
Yep. Yep. But yeah, man, this was a good one. A little longer than we'd hoped, but you know, it's all
Yep.
good. It's all
We'll
good.
catch y'all next time.
All
Peace.
right. Peace.